Do you think loaded potatoes are just a carb bomb? What if I told you they could actually help your gut health? But here's the twist. By adding the best gut-boosting ingredients that are science-supported, like fermented foods, retrograde starch, and anti-inflammatory add-ons, plus one trick to make your potatoes food for your good gut microbes, you can turn a comfort food into a microbiome boosting powerhouse. This weeknight meal takes just 20 minutes and will satisfy the whole family. I'm Leilani, chef, clinical nutritionist, and a gut health nerd, helping busy families make food that heals, not harms. Make sure you watch until the end to see my 7-day gut-friendly dinner challenge. All right, let's go. Now, there looks like a lot of ingredients here today. You don't have to use them all. There are 2 ingredients and 1 technique that makes this super gut-friendly. So we'll start with those. The first is the potato. Now, have a look at this. It is just the most gorgeous thing. What I've done is I have parboiled it first. And I did that on Sunday. I threw a whole bunch of potatoes into a pot with cold water and salt, okay? Then I've cooked them until just through. I put a paper towel there, made sure they're cool, straight down to room temperature or cool enough. And then I put them in a Tupperware and I put them in the fridge. The reason I did that is because cooked and cooled potatoes changes their chemical structure. The starch inside of it then becomes food for your good gut bacteria. And it's called retrograde starch. With potatoes, you want to go organic. It's not that much more to go organic, but that thin skin kind of soaks in a lot of those chemicals. So you definitely have to peel them. In this case, I didn't because I did go organic. Then put this in the oven with some good cheese. And I'll go into that a little bit later, the best fermented dairy for this. Essentially with potatoes, you want to go something like a King Edward or a Sebago or Desiree potato. They're the best ones. And by doing this hack, you also help lower inflammation and help improve the health of your colon by cooking and cooling potatoes. And that's all starch. So that's the one thing you got to do to make this the most gut friendly. Second, you want to add food for your good gut bugs. And that is going to be in black beans. So here's the can. I get the organic kind. Again, it doesn't cost that much more, but black beans have resistant starch, polyphenols in it, very high protein, by the way, and that feeds the bifidobacteria that helps reduce bad bacteria in your gut. So any legume is fine, but I've gone with the black beans because it's just a little bit more conducive to a baked potato. So those 2 are the main stars of the show. You can add other stuff if you want to add like a pulled pork with sauce or beans and already a sauce for it. You can throw that on top. That's perfectly fine. I'm just doing the bee's knees of the best gut healthy loaded potato. All right, so what I've done is I've washed those beans, okay, and I washed them super well. I got rid of all that bean juice, which is not good for you. And then I'm just going to put some of those into a bowl because essentially I'm going to make a kind of salsa to put on top. So I've just put the cheese, I've heated that up, and then I'm going to throw this together while that's in the oven. I've done this already just because you don't need to see that. Now, the next gut healthy ingredient, and it is actually one of the top gut healthy ingredients, and you'd never know it. You want to guess? Onion! You could use spring onion, any onions. I've got red onion here, and I've chopped it up. Onions contain fructooligosaccharides, also known as FOS, and that is good for the gut-brain connection. So it actually helps reduce gut-derived brain toxins or gut-derived toxins that affect your brain. So if you find that the onions are a little bit too sharp, just soak them in water for 15 minutes. So I'll add that to my bowl. Next, I'm going to go for pineapple. Now, most of you will want to add corn. And let me tell you why corn is not great. It's actually quite harmful for your gut. And it doesn't have to be. There's actually corn that is good for your gut, but generally it's hard to get. So the pineapples brings the sweetness, corn brings sweetness, and it's not like you can never eat corn, but I would be selective with the amount of corn that I put in my diet. And I go into this in the fermented foods talk that I've just released. So I'll put the card, I guess, here for you to check that out. But I'll tell you a quick story about corn. And in the 1700s, the Europeans went over to Mexico where they love corn, it's in everything, and they took it back to Europe and to the USA, and it became a staple. Polenta, grits, cornbread, all of the stuff, right? And then all of a sudden there was a mysterious disease that plagued the nation that wasn't there before. And they called it pellagra. And it started causing dermatitis or skin rashes, diarrhea, dementia, and then death. And what it came down to is a niacin or a B3 deficiency. And it was because of the corn. So in Mesoamerica, they fermented the corn in a technique called nixtamalization. It's very difficult to do at home. You can't really do it. But you can buy nixtamalized corn, and it'll say it on the packet. This is the corn chip that I have. And you'll look for ingredients. You probably can't see it so small, but it'll say nixtamalization somewhere on the packet. There's also a GMO-free corn. That's the type of corn that has undergone this process, so it releases the B3 and you don't get those side effects. The body can handle little amounts of things, but if you're having corn every day, you want to really rethink that. That is why I'm putting pineapple. And not just is pineapple like super delicious, but of course, this is a gut healthy nutrition talk. I'm going to tell you why you should put it in. So I've chopped it up. It's all beautiful. Pineapple has bromelain, which actually helps to break down protein, and it's a natural anti-inflammatory. So we're going to add that to the salsa. Next up, another gut healthy ingredient is olives. And I go into this in my talk as well about that natural fermented olives. Not all olives are created equal, but there are better or worse olives, and you can check that out in that talk. Actually have about 250 different microorganisms on it, which are beneficial. Even though that doesn't sound good, it is super good for you. These are Sicilian olives. They're buttery, they're green, they're a good place to start, and I'm going to add those. They're also a good fat. And good fats, like avocado, olives, and olive oil, help the absorption of nutrients like vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K. They need fat to absorb their fat-soluble vitamins. So you've got to have fat in your diet. Next up, we're going to go avocado. Have a look at this beauty. It is just the perfect avocado. You don't have to add this, but if you do, it's high in oleic acid and fiber. So that strengthens your gut wall. And also with those, helps the absorption of those nutrients. We'll put a nice spoon of that in. Now you can add other stuff, of course, but these are just the best ingredients. So next up, we're going to go tomatoes. Now, to be honest, tomatoes aren't the best ingredient for you. There's a lot of lectins in the seeds and in the skin. So if you've got compromised gut health, you can actually react to all nightshades. They're so beautiful and they're delicious. And I'm like, I'm going to put them in because they look pretty. And also lycopene is a component within these that helps diversity within the microbiome. And that's what you want. We're basically, good gut health comes down to diversity. And that's why you need to eat all sorts of different things, not just the same thing over and over. It's like a rainforest. A rainforest works because the little, the big creatures, everything is there, and they have a symbiotic relationship. Same in your gut. It's like a little ecosystem. So have a look how beautiful that's coming along. Now I'm going to add a couple of other things. This one's optional if you like chili, add it. If you don't, it's actually jalapenos, and this is fermented. So this ingredient in here is water rather than just distilled vinegar. And again, that's in my talk, so I won't go over it again, but I'm going to throw, and I love chili, so I'm going to throw some of these jalapenos in there because they have different polyphenols that feed different bacteria, and that's what you want. You want your gut army to be nice and strong. Now, if your gut health is compromised, there's a way to get it back on track. You need to feed it with food for the good bacteria in order to have better health all around, because the gut is connected to everything. And so I have a gut health course that I'll drop the links below, and I go into all the things that you need, the testing, the probiotics, the food, the reset, to help get you back on track, because it does take a bit of time. They say that for 1 year that you've been destroying your gut, and for a lot of you, it's probably 10 to 20 years, it takes 1 month. So if it's been 10 years, it's going to take 10 months of the right stuff to get you back on track. But you'll feel better energy, mood, weight, all those things. So go and check that out. The next thing we're going to add is some spices. These are optional, but it just makes it nicer. Sometimes I'll put like some of those pulled pork, or I mean, they're not great for you, but I love the flavor. Those pulled pork with sauce in it, and then I'll mix it in on top, and this will just be fresh to put on the outside. But in this case, I'm going to add these anti-inflammatory spices, and I've got a mix here, and these particular ones feed up Akkermansia, which helps produce bifidobacteria, which is like the bodyguard for your gut. You can check out my talk. I'll put the card here. It's a gut health essentials, and that will go into some of those important details on gut health. But essentially, I've got smoked paprika, cumin, and turmeric, a little bit of that. But you can put pretty much whatever you want. Now I'm going to mix that into the salsa. Next up, just to bring it together, I'm going to add lemon. And you don't have to, but this will help with the zing, the freshness, the vitamin C uptake, and also to keep the avocado green. Now next, extra virgin olive oil, the only oil to use in something like this. It's just going to help give it a little lift. Now we'll mix that together. And there was salt in there as well. I didn't mention it, but it was in my spice mix. And you can even add the salt to, you can even add seasoning, mixed seasonings if you've got that at home. Now, I'm going to pour that. I made a bit of a mess, but that's okay. On top of my potato. All right, I've cleaned it up just so it's beautiful for you. But if it was up to me, I would just load that whole thing on top. And I would probably put a bit more cheese. You don't have to add the dairy if you don't want to, and you can keep this vegetarian. I love dairy. I talk so much about the right dairy. So something like an aged cheese is really good, low lactose. I got heaps of information and talks on that. So go and check out my other talks to know about the best cheeses. But this is the one that I used for the baking. And again, it's a fermented food. That's why it's so good. Second, you've got an option between a creme fraiche and a yogurt. Both of them will work on this. They both, the reason you want a fermented foods basically help take the pressure off the gut, and then they'll help you break down the carbs, proteins, and fats. They've got natural enzymes in them, live cultures that do just that. So that way you'll have more energy because you're not using it to break down the meal as much. They also enhance the absorption of the nutrients in there. They also help balance the good microbes and boost your immunity. So there's a lot of reasons to add fermented foods. And so this is another one I've just talked about in my gut health course. So I'm going to do the best loaded potato just for you. So I talk about the type of sauerkraut that you really need to get. This one is, look how beautiful that color is. I almost need sunglasses, it's so vibrant. But it's got beetroot in it. So with fermented foods, yes, I didn't spill, I thought it would. You don't need a lot, you just need a spoon. I'm going to go with creme fraiche. I got a spoon of sauerkraut. I fiddled around with the creme fraiche. It was definitely stubborn. Put a little bit on that. Then Coriander goes really well with this, and also herbs have really nice components of them that help feed bifidobacteria as well, which is a real gut legend. So obviously I'm making it look nice for you guys. If it was just me, I would just load it on top. But just want you to get a sense of the ingredients to put in. I think I've got everything. Didn't go with that today. All right, so have a look at this. This loaded, gut-healthy potato. It's got all the different bits in it. It's a weeknight meal that if I wasn't rambling on, it wouldn't have taken very long. It would have taken just the time to cook it, and then it heats up in about 15, 20 minutes while you're making the salsa. So the gut health challenge that I've got for you is to add a fermented food, and go and check out my talk so you know them all. There's 2 actually, part 1 and part 2, to every meal. Okay, it can just be a spoon, a shot, anything, whatever it is, that's going to just help with the digestion of the whole meal. I hope you try this at home. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.